And so this one, well, he missed out. I'm adding it to his list. This may in fact be the worst side effect of all. The farts, guys, they smell horrible. Coach Greg, and in today's video, we're going over the worst bodybuilding side effects that no one wants to talk about. And in doing so, we're gonna respond to buff dudes who made an excellent list of some of these things. I'm gonna speak to that, add some of my own. And so if you're gonna work out, build muscle, perhaps ever compete in bodybuilding, this is a must video for you.
Stretch marks. And being young, I had no idea what was going on. It basically just looked, in my opinion, ugly as hell. It gave me a lot of insecurities.
And listen, if stretch marks are gonna hinder you from being a bodybuilder, then, well, don't even bother. Don't even show up. Really? Stretch marks is preventing you from going to the gym? Oh, woe is me, I got a stretch mark. When I was a kid, I wished I got a stretch mark. I complained, how come I'm not getting stretch marks? Am I not getting big fast enough? Some of the most famous bodybuilders of all time, they have stretch marks. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris Bumstead. You don't like Chris Bumstead's physique? And so if it's such a big thing, oh, woe is me, I might get a stretch mark, then stop bulking. Stop putting on weight too quickly.
Self-esteem. Because a lot of us go into this in order to raise our confidence. In fact, sometimes when you begin working out, all of a sudden you notice you're hypercritical of yourself.
Exactly. He couldn't have said this better. The mental aspect, this is by far the most important. Oftentimes, people get into competing, they start checking themselves out in the mirror, they're comparing themselves to other people, and they no longer like what they see. They think that putting on muscle, suddenly they'll be totally satisfied. It's in fact quite the opposite. The more you compete, the more hyper-aware you are of how you look, and the more critical you are of your own shortcomings. You're essentially training yourself to notice and see all of your flaws. And oftentimes, people will then dwell on it. They'll develop eating disorders. And so if you do get into bodybuilding, realize that you're not gonna be more satisfied with how you look. You're simply gonna raise your standards and realize that you'll never achieve perfection. And so don't think that bodybuilding is gonna cure your body dysmorphia, that if you could only put on those 10 pounds of muscle, lose 20 pounds of fat, then you'll be happy. Be happy right now. Don't think that having the perfect exterior shell, the perfect body is somehow gonna fix what's on the inside.
Once you're labeled it, it's hard to shake it off, and it can be very irritating, and that is you will now be labeled that fitness-obsessed dude.
Okay, I really can't relate to this one. Being labeled that fitness-obsessed guy, to me, that's a badge of honor. I want you to label me. Call me the fitness freak. How is this bad? Everyone knows you as that fit guy? How is that bad? It's not like being labeled, oh, there's that druggy dude. You're quite literally being labeled, oh, that's that guy that works out all the time. He eats so healthy and clean. He's dedicated to being the best person he could be. How is that bad? What do we want? To be labeled as that guy that doesn't give a shit about anything? He eats crap, doesn't work out, is morbidly obese. Is that better? And so stop caring about what people think. Stop worrying about the labels they have for you. After all, there's tons of circles out there having to deal with far worse labels than being known as the fit guy. I, for one, was a power cheerleader in university, took part in aerobics, and wore spandex to race a bike. So people say, oh, you gay? What's wrong with you? I'm like, so what if I am? Does that make a difference? If I'm gay or not, does that matter? And think of it, to this day, people having to worry about being gay, perhaps trans, and how people will treat them. And so in comparison, being labeled the fit guy, don't worry about that.
There's that guy that works out and eats right. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of like an alien species to a lot of people.
Frankly, I think people that work out, they want to have that label. You don't think Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler like being labeled, hey, look at that freak? Of course, that's the point. You're trying to stand out. You're not trying to get 20-inch arms so that you fit into a crowd. No one notices you. You are, in fact, hoping people will label you as that fit freak guy.
It is inevitable if you plan on spending any amount of time in the gym getting bigger, leaner, or stronger, and that is being accused of being on steroids.
So what? That's not a problem. That's a compliment. That's what your goal is. The problem is if no one thinks you're on steroids. You train 10 years, no one thinks you're on PEDs. What did I do wrong? Why don't I have the genetics to look like a bodybuilder? That is the real problem. But let me tell you this. This is what's really going to be a problem if you get into bodybuilding. You're going to want to take steroids. Who cares about being accused? You're going to want it. You're going to want to do it, and it's going to be hard to say no. Perhaps the hardest thing you'll ever do to say no to steroids. Think of it. I said no for over 20 years. That's a lot of time. Eventually, I caved. I gave in to the darkness. I said, I want my IPE Pro card. I'm at my genetic limit. I don't know how to keep making gains. And so I eventually took PDs. And so the hardest thing to do is to stay natural. The buff dudes, I do believe, are 100% natural. I do, in fact, believe them when they say that they are. But me, I'm not natural. Used PDs 10 plus years. Currently on 140 milligrams of test a week. I'm on HRT for the rest of my life. And remember, I started training at the age of 10. When I was a teenager in my 20s, never thought I'd ever use PDs. Was 100% against it. But eventually, I caved, I used them, and so the danger is you will want to take steroids. And it's not just steroids, it's SARMs or other performance-enhancing drugs. But all I can tell you is to say no, do the best that you can, at least wait until you've achieved your natural genetic limit, and if you do decide to do them, always do so with the advice and consent of your doctor, and never, ever break the law.
Just take it as a compliment, take it in stride, and continue to do what you love and enjoy.
And so this one, well, he missed out. I'm adding it to his list. This may in fact be the worst side effect of all. The farts, guys, they smell horrible. Try eating dozens and dozens of egg whites. Trust me, that sulfur smell, you can't get it out. And it is inevitable that you're going to start farting harder than friggin' last time. Not only that, probably going to have to pee more often. You're drinking all this water. It's going through you. Drinking perhaps 4 to 8 liters of water a day. You're waking up in the middle of the night. You always go to the bathroom. Not just to pee. Sometimes you got to poop. You're eating so much fiber. I'm the king of fiber. I'm pooping every day, multiple times a day, sometimes 5 to 8 times a day. The smell can be horrific, not something you want to deal with. And I remember in my university dorm, people did not want to live next to me. Why would they? Farting in my room, smells going through the hallway, having to air out the freaking room all the time. It is a nightmare. And so that is the worst side effect that people don't want to talk to you about. Oh yeah, it's all fun and games. Let's not talk about being accused of PDs. Let's not be accused of being a fit guy. What about the farty, smelly guy? That was me. And so hopefully you enjoyed the list. Hope it makes sense. Be careful. This is the real shit that you got to deal with. No pun intended. Actually, pun intended. And remember, if you're looking to be a bodybuilder and stay natural, we have a ton of natural supplements that can help. We have test boosters, Acti Builder, creatine, beta-alanine, G-Focus, G-Shred, the Seco bars. Of course you want those. The Circle Diet Book, the cookbooks, the training books, coaching plans by me and my team. So much going on. Please visit my website, htltsubs.com, and also gregdoucette.com. Check them out. Follow me on Instagram at Greg Doucette IPE Pro. And until next time, I am out.